We've got a 2016 Bad Boy Maverick. The issues I'm having, the symptoms that have started is, one, there's been this slight hissing noise. It doesn't sound like a PTO clutch, it sounds like a bearing. And it's so faint that I wasn't absolutely sure that it was new or not. But then the other thing that I started to notice, which makes me believe it was new, was I noticed I typically engage my blade PTO at about 75 to 80% throttle, so as to not put more of a load than necessary on the system and shock it. And I noticed that there was a lot of hesitation from the motor that wasn't there before. In some cases, when the engine was already warmed up, I'd have to push it all the way up to 100% just to get the blades to engage without it trying to stall the engine. So I'm going to cut to a clip here of the engine running. You're going to hear that hesitation and hear the hissing sound that I'm hearing. Hopefully, I'm recording on a phone, so we'll see how that comes out. And then we'll get back to taking the deck apart, and I'll show you exactly what's going on with the center spread. So right at 15 hours. We're going to take off the protective covers on the deck, cover the outer pulleys. Alright, then per the instructions, we're going to apply torque to the blade and spin that around and take the blade off the deck and get to the service. So, what we'll do here, of course, no scientific measurements here, but you can just kind of see. So we just give that thing a little bit of a spin, and can you kind of get close? See, we've got a nice free flow, very, very quiet spindle, and I'll put a timer on it, but I mean, obviously, it spins, takes a while to spin. We'll come around here to the other side of the mower and do the exact same thing on this spindle. And so again, not very scientific, just giving it a couple spins. That one's already got a little bit more noise than the other one, but nothing significant. That other one is still spinning, whereas this one's slowing down, so we can already see that one's got a little bit more resistance. But when we go to the center spindle, turn the lights on real quick. We go to the center spindle, we can see it's drastically different. And again, not scientific, as you can see, it's a lot more resistance and almost immediately stopping. So obviously, we've got an issue with that. So we'll cut to taking that off. And again, I'm not a bad boy certified mechanic, but I don't believe this should happen after 14 hours. We'll take the blade off and film that to see, but this thing's never hit anything bigger than like pea-sized gravel. So I could understand if I had hit something that could have damaged the spindle, and then I'd be out for it. But I believe that's just defective bearings. So we're going to go ahead and get this pulley off to get access to the spindle. So we've got this nut loosened up on the top. Sorry, bolt. That lock washer and that flat washer. There's a key in here, which I've already taken out just before we filmed it and dropped it into the center of the pulley, so I have to get that out. And then there's a Allen key set screw right here inside. Once we get that out, you can see where the key goes, which is actually inside the spindle right now. That gives us access to the top of the spindle. All right. So next step and final step, gone ahead and broke these bolts loose. So we'll remove these 4 bolts that hold the spindle to the actual deck. I don't know why that washer's got kind of a bend to it. That one fell right through. And that one did as well. collect up these lock washers. And the last one. Bolt hunt, all right. Keep those up there. And then the spindle should just drop right out. All right, that one's got a little bit of a hang up to it. Not a big deal. Not sure how that happened. That one obviously got bent a little bit. We'll fix that before we put it back on. So now we should be able to get the housing out. We'll be able to take a look at this blade and see if we've got any indicators as to why this happened. So, so taking a look at this blade, I mean, this is the original blade that shipped from Bad Boy. The blades are not in bad shape. Obviously they shouldn't be for something with as low hours. Looks good. Both edges, I mean, they haven't hit anything. Those blades hit something, you know, enough to damage a spindle. We should be able to see that here. And we'll take a contractor square to it just to verify. I mean, that blade's true. There's a little bit of a bend here. Let's see if that's the same on the other cutting edge or not. That may be the same on both, yeah. So it's the same on both cutting edges, have a little bit of a bow to them. That's probably blade design. But on the back sides of the blades, of course, both of them are the exact same. So we'll take this off of the spindle real quick, and I'll check for balance of the blade. But I mean, I cannot figure out any reason why a spindle would have gone bad other than a defective bearing at that low hour. So we'll go ahead and get this blade off, and then we'll take a look at the balance of it. Again, not scientific. We'll just clamp a screwdriver and see if we get like a drastic off balance indication. Got the blade loosened up, and again, not a scientific test here, but just loosen it up on the spindle. I don't see any indicators. You know, if it was out of balance, you're going to have the blade try and kind of swing and come to rest, almost like a pendulum here at the end. As you can see, that's just not the case. It's stopping. So arguably, you want to make sure and check that. But again, we're not getting this back and forth rocking motion when you've got a blade that's out of balance. So I mean, we just kind of, it stops. It stops. Just kind of stops wherever it wants to. So there's no indicator that this blade's been damaged. There's no reason for this spindle to be acting like this. So now we're just gonna go ahead and get the new spindle and put it on. The new blades mounted to the new spindle, and then we've got the spindle basically in reverse order for bolts up through the deck, lock washers all tightened down. So now we're gonna go ahead and install the go ahead and install that key. Get a little bit of oil to keep all this stuff from ever corroding up. All right, so we'll find our pulley. Get our key lined up. You can see where that previous set screw came against it, so we'll go ahead and just try and get that all lined up just like original. Get that down in there. So that's perfectly in line. We'll grab our set screw. And again, I like to, just for good measure, put a WD-40 on that. Just keep it, that little coat of oil should keep any rust from ever forming on there. That nice and tight, so we ain't got to worry about that coming loose, because that'd be a nice critical failure and destroy the shaft of that. that pulley. All right, that's nice and tight on there. All right. I'll see you in a little bit. All right. Last step, we're going to get this pulley. Put that over here. And we're going to get this tightened up. I'm going to do this off camera real quick because I'm sure the kiddo's about to start screaming. And then we'll be back once this is tightened on. So we got the belt back. Pulley's back up on top. Nice and snug. We've got our belts routed properly. Of course, every deck's going to be different. This is just the way it's mounted on the Maverick. And on the Maverick in particular, we've got the tension pulley right here. So I find it's easiest to overlay the belt on this one and pull, because it'll use the leverage and pull the tension on that belt and get it in there. So I don't really have a good place to hold the camera. I'm gonna put the camera down for just a second and just basically take and you put that on there and start, and then just spin your pulley, in this case clockwise, and it'll just pull the belt right on. Just get that sucker over, and then got it over, and we just give it a spin, and boom. So we've got everything back on there, just like it should be. We're gonna double check around the back and make sure that belt is still on the PTO shaft, which it is. So everything is in alignment. Everything looks good right at the center. So we're gonna go ahead and start it, see how she sounds, make sure that sound is gone. Actually, so I'm not knocking stuff down all over the garage. Let's go ahead and flip the deck up. Guard there. All right. This engine does not like to start without being choked. Bit of engine hesitation there when engaging it, but I'm going to chalk it up to the fact that it's you know, it's in the 40s today, and that engine is cold. So we're going to tear this thing apart and see if we can't replace the bearings in it. So I have a spare, and like I said, I'm going to try and contact Bad Boy and see if they'll be willing to send me another one, just because I don't think that should have gone bad that quickly out of when there's no reason for it. If I'd have seen a bent blade or some damage to the deck, something that indicates that it hit something. But one, I'm the only operator of it, so I'd know if it hit something. And two, there's just no evidence that it's struck anything that would cause that. So we'll see what Bad Boy does. Hopefully they come through. Because otherwise, I love the machine, and I hope you found the video useful.